At sunrise, everything becomes a silhouette, simplified, essential, reduced to basic form. You see the outline without the details, the shape without the clutter. Sometimes you need to see yourself like this. Not all your complicated stories and explanations, just your basic shape. Who are you when you strip away everything extra? What remains when you remove all the decoration? That silhouette, that's your essential self. Start there. Let's settle in. Wherever you are right now, just land here. No need to prepare yourself or get into the right mindset. Feel the weight of your body. Sitting or lying down, notice how gravity does the work for you. You don't have to hold yourself up or together. Find your breath. Not the idealized breath, just the one that's actually happening. In. Out. Your body's been doing this without asking for instruction. All day, all night, before you woke up and after you fall asleep. Scan through your body briefly, starting from the top of your head, moving down. Forehead, jaw, neck, shoulders. Where are you gripping? Not to fix it, just to know it. Move down through your chest, your belly, your legs, your feet. Just noticing, just here. Right now, sitting in this moment, there's a version of you that's very complicated. The one with the history and the story. The one with reasons for everything. There's the you who's anxious about tomorrow. The you who's still processing yesterday. The you who's trying to figure out if you're doing this meditation right. There's the you who has opinions about everything. Your job, your relationships, your body, your mind, your life. The you who's constantly explaining yourself to yourself. That version is exhausting. But here's what happens at sunrise. Everything gets simplified. The tree doesn't tell its story at dawn. It doesn't explain why it grew this way instead of that way. It doesn't justify its shape or apologize for its branches. It's just a silhouette. Basic form, essential outline, no details, no decoration. And somehow, in that simplification, something becomes clearer. So, let me ask you something. What are you without your story? Not the story about why you're anxious or stressed. not the story about what happened to you or what you need to heal, not the story about who hurt you or what you're working toward. Just for a moment, what if you set all of that down? Not because the story isn't real, not because it doesn't matter, but because right now you don't need it. Notice your breath again. In, out. That breath doesn't have a backstory. It's not breathing because of what happened last week or what might happen tomorrow. It's just breathing. Simple, direct, here. Your heart is beating right now, not because of your resume or your mistakes or your potential, just because that's what hearts do. What if you could be like that just for a few minutes? Existing without all the commentary, without the constant narration about who you are and why you are and what it all means. What would be left? Here's what's strange. We think our complexity makes us interesting. We think our stories give us depth. We think our explanations prove we're thoughtful, self-aware, working on ourselves. But sometimes the complexity is just noise. And underneath all that noise, there's something simpler. Not simpler like dumb, simpler like clear, simpler like true. When you see a silhouette at sunrise, you can't see the texture of the bark or the individual leaves. You can't see the imperfections or the details. You just see the shape, the essential form. And somehow that's enough. Sometimes it's more than enough. So what's your essential form? Not the carefully constructed version of yourself. Not the version you present at work or online, or even to the people you love. The version beneath all that. The one who's just here, breathing. The one who exists before the story starts. Can you feel that? It's not dramatic. It's not going to give you enlightenment or transformation or some big realization. It's just quiet. Underneath all the noise you've been carrying, there's quiet. Underneath all the complications, there's simplicity. and it's been here the whole time. You don't need to understand yourself completely to exist. You don't need to have it all figured out. The sunrise doesn't wait for clarity before it rises. It just rises. And in that rising, everything becomes simple again. Not because the world changed, but because the light changes what you can see. So, what if, just for now, you let yourself be seen in silhouette? No details, no explanations, just your basic shape, breathing, being, here. Notice how much lighter that feels when you're not carrying the weight of your entire story, when you're not defending or explaining or justifying yourself, just existing, just this. You spend so much time building yourself up, adding layers, adding context, adding meaning. But maybe you don't need more. Maybe you need less. Less story, less complexity, less performance. Just the outline, just the essence. And here's the thing about essence, it doesn't change. Your story changes all the time. Who you think you are shifts depending on the day, the mood, the situation. But your essence, that's been the same since you were born. Underneath everything you've added, there's still just you, breathing, aware, here. That version of you doesn't need fixing. It doesn't need improvement. It doesn't need to become anything other than what it already is. So for the rest of this meditation, just practice being that. Not the complicated version. Not the version with all the thoughts and worries and plans. Just the silhouette. When thoughts come, and they will, let them pass like details you can't see at sunrise. You don't need to engage with every single one. You don't need to figure them out, or fix them, or follow them. Just let them be background. You're the shape. They're the noise. Keep coming back to your breath. In Simple, essential, here. No story required. This is your essential self, not the self you're trying to become, not the self you think you should be. The self you already are when you strip everything else away. And it's enough. It's always been enough. Rest here for a little while longer. Just breathing, just being, just the outline of yourself against the light. Simple, clear, true. When you're ready, start to bring gentle movement back. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Take a deeper breath if you need one. And slowly, when it feels right, open your eyes. You'll return to the complexity soon enough. The stories will come back. The details will fill in. But maybe, for just a moment, you can remember this. You don't need all of that to be real. You don't need the whole story to exist. Sometimes the silhouette is enough. Sometimes it's everything.